Hi, everybody. I'm Brian.
And I'm
Folks, this is episode 280 of Mid-Atlantic Gravel Travel and Dirt. If you're new here, this is a podcast where we talk about gravel bikes, adventure biking, bikepacking, bike camping, just playing bikes. How are you today, Joey?
dandy. My neck hurts, and I've already been to Annapolis and back for the day.
Have you recovered yet from Buck 50 efforts?
I think my neck soreness is
is?
related. Yeah.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, I have arthritis in my neck, and I think I slept a little crooked last night too.
Uh-huh.
Like I used one of those. You were here. I got one of those specific neck pillows, and I just always have back and forth neck pain. Sometimes it's nothing for a while. Sometimes you ride 50 miles of abusive gravel and then on a bike that you haven't ridden since December for like 5 hours. And then
sometimes those things catch up with you.
You sleep on a cot for a few nights. And so that might be it. I had the Theragun earlier before you got here. But the thing I really like is a lacrosse ball and a sock. And you hold the sock against the wall and you let it really get in there.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I
do that for my upper back, but yeah,
because you can't do the Theragun. You can, but
it's not the same, but that lacrosse ball gets in there.
Well, trying to hold the Theragun to get to the spot would mess you up
and
as
Jess
much
won't really do it. But yeah, that's great. But yeah, at the age of 30, I'll be 36 in a few weeks. I got diagnosed with arthritis in my knee and neck. So yeah, there's that.
So for listeners, we have just come back from the Croatan Buck 50 down in the wilds of southeastern North Carolina.
Coastal Carolina.
Swansboro. What a wonderful weekend, though. If you look at the whole of the picture from the get to the got, it is a fantastic endeavor. It's a fantastic
the best weekend of the year.
It is. It's best. Mike, Matt touts it as the best bike game ever.
Yeah.
And I think he's pretty close. Pretty doggone close. I think that is a moniker it can wear proudly.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think we have event promoters and people that love other events. Nothing against the other events. And, we say the same thing about Unpaved. And it's these events you make a whole weekend experience. And I haven't been an event person in a while. These one-dayers are great, but yeah, and I posted on socials. It's like you said, from start to finish. It's going down with your friends. It's having the fire. It's having the friends you haven't seen in a while. The ride's just like a fraction of it. It's not even why I go anymore.
Yeah, it's just a little bitty piece.
Yeah,
it's
a big piece that gets you. It's the medium that gets you there, but it's not like we're not bike racers. I mean, we'll dig in depth. Mine turned into like an adventure survival ride. We both have wild experiences, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, it's the reason I talk so highly about it. You'll hear about it this episode, and if you haven't listened before in the last 6 years of this,
yeah. Well, the lead up. We talk about Buck 50.
Such a hard lead up.
It's also like that. It's what we talk about all winter long. Yeah. It's like Unpaved ends, and you almost immediately begin thinking about what's next. And I know Monster Cross is kind of in the mix as early, but in my opinion, Monster Cross is almost like how do I describe it? It's not Buck 50. It's not the season kickoff.
No, I hate Monster Cross.
I don't know that I hate it.
I do. I don't mean hate. It's not preferred. And for the reason of like this year, I had a previous engagement with the rain delay. And if I just drove down for the day, it wasn't the same for me.
No.
Because we camp at Pocahontas,
and
we're around, it's the camaraderie.
And it's also like for that, you go down the night before and camp at Pocahontas.
It's great.
And then you break camp in the morning and then you go to the event and then it's like you depart from the event. So it doesn't have that same full circle kind of thing. Because I really enjoy sitting around at the end of the event and recapping everybody's experience.
I know you are very busy with your job.
Me?
I mean, there's no reason like next year we couldn't just stay 2 nights.
Well,
like you and me, I don't know about Larry, but that would make it more enjoyable. But
what I'd like to do if it, next year, planning ahead for Buck 50 next year. A few years ago, we did this where we went down and we camped in the national forest.
Yeah.
We went out and found one of those little, docking sites and just kind of hung out for the night before. I don't even know if we rode our bikes. But, that was a lot of fun. And then when the event, it kind of ends and then you have that last night and then you go home. So I like that idea of sort of extending that.
And we'll do that next year, provided Blake doesn't need x-rays the day before and tears his. Blake had his 8-week x-rays Thursday. And that was kind of like, if things weren't settled, I never said it out loud, like if the surgery and stuff wasn't settled, I was like, oh no, I don't know if I'm comfortable leaving.
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
Yeah.
Next year we need to
he worked out
almost Thursday through Monday.
If
I chilling out that Sunday.
That was really nice. Just kind of hanging out at the beach and kind of being like that year we did that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. There's hands down, it was a lot of fun. And we tried to go over to Fish Hut to eat, but it didn't quite work out because we were late on a Friday. And it was like a line was out into the parking lot. So we went to the place next door.
Which we've done twice now.
Yeah.
And we've eaten at Fish Hut twice too.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And, I think if I remember right, the best thing that we did was after the race, we went to Fish Hut that night.
That was...
I can't remember.
No. That was you and me that Sunday.
Uh-huh.
That was like 2022.
That's right. We went there the day that
we just went like at lunchtime.
The extra day.
And then last year we left early last year and we went kind of at lunchtime. But dinner time, man, there must have been 40 people out the door in line.
Blake just went like barreling under the table and like tried to pull all the cables, which I tried to keep out of his way. But
we're good. We're still recording.
We're good. We're good. You're good. You're good, Blake. You're good. No,
I know we're scattered all over with this, but yeah.
No. Like I said, it's the one that kicks off the season, and then immediately you start into. It's almost. I'm excited. I get to see Larry like almost every month now.
I know. I was just thinking that you guys just saw each other.
Yeah, we saw each other at Monster Cross. Then we get to Buck 50, and then we're doing Lulaca in the end of April, and then I'm sure there'll be something in May that will pop up that will bring us all together again. It's exciting. I like that. I missed that. I think the last year or so, we all took a back seat from the event train, so to speak, and really didn't do a whole lot. But this year, I think it's we're back on board and doing all the things. So for folks that don't know Croatan, it's the Buck 50. It is in the Croatan National Forest, which is near Swansboro, North Carolina. It is down on an Emerald Isle is another reference point that people can use. You get a 20, a 50, 100, or 150. Blake is like, I don't think I've seen him do this in a long time.
He's like trying to, when dogs like burrow and scratch, he's like fluffing his bed.
Good job, Blake.
He's not getting anywhere with it.
Well, that means he's getting back to normal.
Oh, yeah, he's
excellent. I like to see that, Blake. So you've got a whole bunch of distances, and it is a race. There's no doubt about it. It's.
I didn't know there was a 20 until this year.
Yeah, the little and all the kids are out there.
I should have signed up for that one.
It was fun to see. Yeah. You said you almost converted it into that.
Yeah.
Because you get to the cornfield on the 20, you get to the cornfield. Yeah. So there's all sorts of distances, and it is absolutely 100% a race. There is a heavy front tip of the spear, so to speak. And then there's a mid-pack, and I think that mid-pack is also still racing, but they're racing against themselves, racing against friends. And then there's us. Then there's all the rest of us.
Especially if you saw me out there, like, everyone's like, what are you doing?
That dude, I see him stopped all the time. So we set up camp with the outsiders in the infield over in between turn 1 and turn 2. We've done that a couple of years in a row now, which is really
it's a
nice.
Sweet little spot.
Yeah. It's very, very nice to be so close to those guys. I know that in some past years we've camped other places in the track, and we've had to kind of like filter through a bunch of and that's nice to have them right there.
Yep,
I always love that. I appreciate that. Pat's there, Mike's there, Ian's there. All the ladies from the Road Killers show up too. You got the outsiders and then the Road Killers ladies. I love that name. It's Kill Hers. So you have all of these folks around, and then we're there. And we're there mucking it all up, but still having a good time. Let's see. That night, we went out to eat that night, the first night, and hung out at we brought the solo stoves.
Yeah, which is perfect.
Which we've done a couple of years now. The first night was cold. The first night was a little cold, and then it heated up on race day. There's definitely...
It was warmer when we woke up than we went to sleep.
Yeah, and Casey was there.
Yep.
Casey came down.
That was a surprise. On the way down, I didn't know he was going, and I was very excited about that.
Yeah, him and I had been texting back and forth.
Thanks.
And, I still don't know whether you're going to show up with these things. So.
Me neither. Tell me about it.
I'm joking with you. But no, it was awesome to see Casey there. I hope we get to see him again at some more things coming up. He's always so much fun to hang out with, and a great addition to the crew, if you ask me. Anything stand out for you as during the lead up and the day before? That was like...
Yeah, before we talk about the ride?
Yeah.
No, the fact that
Ted was there too, Ted. I'm sorry, Ted.
Yeah.
I forgot Ted. Sorry, Ted.
No, I had just had a lot of anxiety about leaving Blake. Because Jess was also running the rock and roll half marathon in D.C. And normally we would drop Blake off my parents, but he went up and slept in our bed for the first time upstairs since January on Sunday night. Jess has been like 8 weeks on the couch, but it was just, getting him in and out. And then he had anesthesia on that Thursday. They have to sedate dogs to do x-rays. They had the x-rays back leg to make sure. And which is fine. I know he was groggy. MASH, the animal hospital, was great about it. But he came home, we fed him some dinner, and he had this anesthesia, GI, upset stomach. So, like, he had a case of the hot snakes from like 9 p.m. and like, even when we left, I delayed our departure because there was no one here to take care of him. I couldn't have him go all over the house, and he won't go all over the house.
Which I thought I think you thought that was going to worry me, but I was fine.
It all worked out. I ended up getting my dad to come over like every hour until Jess got home. But by the Murphy's Law, I think around like 8, 9 a.m. was like his last episode. By the time my dad got here and Jess was home, he was kind of back to normal. And the internet said it would be like that. So
that's perfect, though.
Yeah, it was. But that in the back of my mind, leaving my best friend.
No.
And then the fact that because I was worried and I slept down here on a human-sized dog, I slept like 2 hours Thursday night. and I can't thank you enough for driving both ways because that just made me exhausted.
Even though we got 10 miles to the gallon, the truck full of stuff, and a box on the top and bikes hanging off the back.
We got your truck did perfect. I think with the roof box, the Subaru would have been just as fine. But I loved your truck setup, and
it is nice now with the cap on it. I should actually take some pictures of that and post it because it is a really nice event setup. Because the nice thing I like is when the bikes are on the back, you don't have to get the bikes out of the way to get into the bed of the truck.
It was so convenient.
Being able to throw the wings up on the little Chinese
easier than
version.
getting the trunk of the Subaru too.
Yeah, and everything's right there at like this height, and you can leave we all carry the black boxes with the yellow tops, and that's what everybody's gear
just
goes
easier
in.
to pack.
It's so easy. Everything goes in that, and then a small bag for clothes, and then the ability to put that yellow top box right there at one of the wing doors on the cap, and then put your little bag on top of that. It's just everything's right there. It's handy. It's easy to get in and out. It worked really well. I'm so happy with that setup now because for a while I had the roll top on the truck. In fact, ever since I've had the truck for 6 years, I've had the roll top with the billy bars, and the bikes would sit up on top of that. Which is nice. It was fine. You're lifting the bikes up and bringing them down. That's not a big deal. But you could still get in and out of the bed of the truck, but you couldn't get in from the side. Yeah. And you're always kind of leaning over and kind of reaching in. This is just a whole different old man game. Yeah. Definitely different.
But yeah, I would say that. Yeah. You driving was great, but leading up, the last bit of my lead up was since January 18th. I looked at my Strava. I was like, January 18th, I only rode, I didn't even Zwift. Everyone knows I was hitting the gym and walking and rucking, which does transfer over, but it doesn't. My butt could tell you that. But I also didn't convert my bike to single speed. I aired up the tire. I actually packed Thursday, which was huge. I always pack the morning up. I was ready.
You were ready to go.
And I didn't. And I told everyone this after because I didn't want to jinx it. But like, I got my bike out of the upstairs. I put air in the tires. I put my flat kit back on it, and I loaded it up. I totally didn't bring a spare tube. I didn't update my sealant of my tires, and that was probably done in October. I am like the worst bike mechanic, the cobble gobbler kind of. I take care of Jess's bike differently, but so yeah, I charged my Axis batteries. Dynamo was good in case I did do the 100 because I might have got a little dark. No one finished in the dark this year, but
no, it was fast.
So we'll
talk about that.
There was that lead up of like. I just trusted my bike. I didn't convert it.
That was also the having your dynamo light on the front was one of the things when we were early and you were behind me. I was able to kind of keep track of you by seeing.
Yeah, I just kept it running. I also I didn't bring my Jackery. My phone was like 20% all night. I didn't charge it at night either, but I was able to keep my phone going
because the dynamo was actually plugging in.
Because Jess had a really nice external battery pack, which usually and I would love to do a dynamo episode. And from my experience with dynamo, especially the Florida trip and riding with one permanently now, and the internet, I'll tell you this, but it's not the best thing you're not going to get much power if you just plug your phone right into dynamo. It'll keep it flatlined and maybe get you 5%. It does keep you flatlined though, which is great. Yeah. The sine wave has the USB plug-in, so you can do that. But generally, it's easier to charge a battery pack, which boosts up much faster than run your phone into the battery pack after. But the battery pack crap the bed. So luckily, in my RootWorks bag that my dynamo is attached to, I keep multiple cables. And then there's actually a cable, which I love for sine wave at least, where you can plug a battery pack into the light if you don't have a dynamo wheel on, right, and run the light as is without a dynamo hub. And then that actually lets you do the flashing mode. That's my lead up. It was a stressful one.
How much Dyno would be a fascinating deep dive into the setup and what it actually takes to get that in
We would
play.
need like an expert on it because I'm not the best.
Yeah, but I mean,
I figured it out.
I think just starting at the basics, because you obviously have to relace a wheel, but then it's all with the wiring and the routing and all of the stuff that goes along with it.
Hard as you think. There's a few electrical pieces you got to do to, you build a wheel with the hub, or you buy one, and there's different levels of those, and there's certain times to use them. And Stephen Fitzgerald has a really good short bit on a podcast. He did a mountain bike race where, if your speed's not enough, you need like 12, 13 miles an hour. So it doesn't transfer over to certain aspects where like certain mountain bike races are slow climbing events where it's a lot of hike a bike and stuff like that. It's not the best at night.
Okay.
It's not consistent. But for what I do, it's fine. You run a wire, you have a piece that adapts to the hub. You could take that on and off because you got to take your wheel off. And then you just, if you run a rear light, it has a tether to that, which I have a rear light. I just got to put back on wire. So there's like different ways.
Yeah.
But it's simple. And some people have some really cool versions. Austin's really knowledgeable about it. But it's a nice peace of mind because it's not like I had to worry about a lighter. I never charge it, obviously.
Right.
I just ride with it on, and so I lose like 3 watts. Yeah, like I don't know what watts are anymore.
Well, we'll talk about the race, but I think the biggest, and we've already talked a little bit about this, but I think the biggest thing for me is it's one of those gravel events that the community is so strong, and it has changed a little bit. I'm going to be a little bit honest. It used to be more of the community aspect when there was more people camping at the track the night before and the night after. It seems like it's changed into a group of folks that want to be somewhere else and they want to come in for the race and then they want to leave when the race is over. And I really wish I do miss that component, but with it being smaller, it's more intimate. You get to talk to the people that you're really there to see. And those people that it's nice. It is a little more intimate, but I miss the days of it was a giant party. Do you remember the night that the Outsiders had the pop-up over?
Oh, that was a huge party.
And that was just massive. And that was the night after. That was just wild. Yeah. There was so many people there. And I miss that a little bit, if I'm being honest. But the intimacy of just a few people is also pleasant as well. So I enjoy that. But the community aspect of it, it's especially being the early season and being sort of the first thing, it sort of really gets you going, gets you moving. Now, the course changes year after year after year. Everybody says
I would say a third of it does.
Well, everybody says, no, it doesn't change although he did change the route. I'm just talking about the conditions of the course.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So it's never the same.
If you think that, well, I've done Buck 50, so what do I need to go back down there for? You're kind of wrong because the course, even though it may be the same road, is completely different from year to year to year. I'll never forget the year that it was like literally just nothing but potholes. And you spent the entire course you're just dodging potholes, which, and we'll talk about this, that's slowed the pace down some this year. And you talked about it, nobody finished in the dark. The pace this year was really high. Then you have things like Sector 4 that had popped up after Savage Road went away. So you had Savage Road that was like this giant would swallow an F-150 kind of water hole, and then you would have that went away and got smoothed out, and then Sector 4 turned into this just 3-mile mud slog and had its own sort of uniqueness. And then all these things pop up. But this year, I guess it was because Matt was telling us there was a fire and they came in and they were in there for like 30 days working this fire. And at the end of it, they had to rebuild the roads. And so now all the roads have been redone. And so this year, probably next year, probably take it a couple of years, but I think eventually it's going to come back to what it has been in the past. So just because you said I've ridden it now, why do I need to go ride it again? It does completely, drastically change.
Even the sections that have always existed, it's just something is different on that road every year.
And this year, the route changed. So when you went to the aid station, instead of backtracking in a lot of two-way traffic, you went out and did the OHV road, which wasn't nearly as bad as a Savage road. It wasn't nearly
That was a Savage, right?
I don't think so. No, that was
I thought
Seaboard.
Part of that was Savage, but it changed the name, Matt said.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that was the old Savage, and they updated the name. We can listen to the Matt episode.
Yeah. But you go out that OHV, which I guess is OHV because they're working on getting it paved. They're getting gravel onto it. But it is it's potholes. It's different kind of potholes. It's
undulating, and it was swervy. There was no direct line.
Yeah.
It kept you on your toes. And it was like as far as the eye could see. And then when you think you made it halfway, it's still as far as the eye can see. And
it did keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
It was, I really enjoyed it. It took its toll on me at the end of it. But back to the beginning, you and I were sort of at the back of the pack, and you were having your issues that were beginning to manifest themselves, and I was feeling good. We had a lot of back and forth, and you finally said go.
I was hoping you would have went a long time before that,
but I wasn't gonna chat with you before we made any decisions on that.
Well, we started doing exactly what I didn't want to do.
What's that?
We went out hot.
Well, it's almost like
the group forces you to.
The group forces you to. Exactly. Yeah.
I should have just not lined up in the middle because you're stuck.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that person cutting everyone off or causing an accident.
Well, one of the things I think, if I had to make a suggestion to Matt, would probably be to one of two things: have people line up by pace,
like a marathon would.
Really, really kind of try to reinforce this. If you're here to race, come up here. If you think you're going to be fast, come here. If you think you're going to be strong, come here. If you think you're going to be, not even put numbers on it. Just try to get people grouped earlier, especially when the course is as fast as this year, or give the start. It's a mat time, so give the course a start window. That would also probably be helpful to start from, it's a 8:30 to 8:45.
Yeah.
And it's mat times, and if you're racing, obviously you're going to be racing with people that are also racing. So get up front.
I think you get 80% of the folks would want the mass start because of then you know who you're racing. But then I would totally give it 10 minutes to clear out.
Yeah.
And I probably could have
yeah.
And I know how timing works now, and it depends on how they set up the timing mat and your chip and how you're going through. But there's always 20 different ways you could skin a pig.
But I'm not going to try to second guess anything that Matt does because
no,
that's not what I'm doing.
It was perfect.
Please don't take it that way.
I should have just lined up in the back because we went out. I'll just dig into the ride, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hopped in the middle. It was great. Everyone's going. I rode the track twice. I was like, oh, my bike's good. That's a good way to check it out. It's the only reason I rode it twice. It shifted and all that. My wheel was true because at the Hush Money thing, my rear wheel went up true. But and we were at one point in time we were doing 18 on the asphalt, and I'm like, oh man, my heart rate's kind of high. And I had coffee and pork roll and stuff. A lot of sodium. And, we'll talk about the food at the end.
Yeah.
And so we're going, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to slowly drop back. But even dropping back, parted ways a little bit before the cornfield, but I kept riding at the same pace. But my average heart rate was 172, 174. No matter what I was doing, I couldn't get my heart rate down. And it wasn't the legs, it wasn't the butt or the neck.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when your heart rate will not drop,
it's tough.
It killed me. And I saw you you were up there and you slowly worked your way back, and I just felt horrible. And I was like, please just go, please go. Because at that point in time, I'm like, do I even keep going? Do I make it to the aid station? Because knowing I have to ride back, my legs always have that distance in them, whether it's fast or slow. But I was like, man, but if this doesn't come down. So I stopped right before the cornfield, took some photos for 5 minutes, let my heart rate come down, just chilled. And I kind of reassessed what I was going to do for the day. I was like, all right, let's just first thing. And I didn't realize the cornfield was that close to where I was taking the pictures. I was like, all right, I know there's a market on the corner at the cornfield. I was like, that's 10-ish miles out. Let me get to that parking lot, and if I just want to chill, eat some food, and then turn around, it's 20-something miles. Then I'm like, all right, let me make it from there. You're on the asphalt. I was refreshed. I was like, let me make it to the point where the course splits.
Okay.
Because then I'm like, let me make that decision.
Because once you're at the point where
once you're at the split, I don't want to be the guy riding backwards.
Yeah.
And I was still also feeling okay. And at that point in time, I was like, I think I am the last one. No shit. I had a few people ask me, and I think I was the last 100. And I was kind of excited about that. No one's going to come flying past me because the gravel was like marbles. I got to the split, and I'm like, just make it to the aid station. It's another 25 back. And I get to the aid station, and the guy who probably was last, he passed me because I stopped again to take photos because the forest was still smoldering in areas. So because I committed to just making an adventure ride, I was taking videos. I was watching stuff burn. There was still fire going on, and it was really cool. And he sat there for a while, and I was like, I'm not sitting here forever. I ate everything at the aid station, except the mini Cokes I didn't see, and you guys told me about.
Well, they were only put out if you were doing the 100, you wouldn't have seen them on the first aid station stop. You had to get them at the second aid station stop, which is actually kind of smart.
Is that the same aid station?
Same aid station.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I kept that quick. That guy sat there for a while. And he was like, I'm doing the 100. I'm like, all right, buddy.
Oh, no,
More power.
good job.
No, more
Yeah.
power to him. But I'm like, dude, now that's when I started feeling like kind of cracked.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, crap, now I have to, now I have 25 miles back. And then OHV kind of took a toll. It's not like I didn't like it. It changed it up, which was nice. But then you get off that and you see gravel and you go up this like embankment and you're like, oh my God, this is like, they just put this down.
Let me describe OHV for folks. It's literally an off-highway vehicle road that is sort of got double track by default because of 2 tires for OHV, and then you'll have one side which will all of a sudden dip off into a puddle, and then you got to switch it up because the other side will be a puddle, and then there's limbs and there's rocks and there's all sorts of stuff that's like kind of like randomly throughout, and little dips and hills where you can't see what's on the other side. So even though it's out in the open, it is not a quote unquote road. It's not single track. It's not to that extent, but it's also not a smooth ride, and then at the end, they're obviously in the process of pushing gravel down that road and making it back to what it should be. But of course, that very end is nothing but a giant mud pit with literally a cliff of gravel that, I kid you not, is probably about a foot and a half?
12 to 18 inches?
Yeah, 12 to 18 inches. Yeah. So you've got to slog through this mud that slows you down and then yeet yourself up onto this gravel road, which is soft because it's just been laid. Anyway.
No, it was great. And like I said, I just wasn't in the mood. It was still nice. And then you ride that for a few miles and you pop out in the old road that connected you last year. And then you meet the connector where you got the fork in the road and the 100s were coming back around in the Buck 50s. And I took another chill pill there, ate some beef jerky, watched another fire burn next to me, and just let the course clear out again. Because the 50s, when I got on OHV, like the lead 50 riders were starting to pass me. Yeah. And I didn't want to mess them up. So I just chilled and I let that clear out. And I slowly worked my way back. And that was at that time I texted you guys. I was like, F this road. I was like, and I was like, man, and it was like, it wasn't the course, it was me. And I just slowly chugged my way back. And I knew each where section of the roads were, and I got to one point in time, and I texted you. I was like, dude, I'm so cracked. And you're like, oh, come get you. And I was like, no, I think I got like 6 miles left. Pat just passed me.
You had a little more than 6 miles to go with that.
It was like, I break that route up into sections. Like, there's that last long straightaway that kills me.
Yeah.
And then the asphalt's still like a mile and a half.
Well, the weird thing is the section of course between the highway and the cornfields is a crowned road, and it doesn't have it's no more potholes on it, but it feels like that over time what happened, there was one line that had worn in at the top of the crown, and everything that had gotten pushed off of the crown, if you had any kind of traffic and you needed to go down into that, you said, you used the word earlier, marbles.
Yeah.
And you get off camber on the marbles. If you're not on your game, it could be tough to get back up to the crown, or you could.
I actually, kind of not slid, but I just got pushed myself all the way off into the actual ditch at one time. It was a turn, so it was a pretty steep little bank. And as you ride, you drift over.
Right.
So there was that, but no, I made it to that section, and it was the end of Sector 4 is when I texted you where I knew, because that's usually. Is that where Matt splits or so?
Yeah, usually right in that window.
Somewhere in there. Or maybe it was the turn before that, railroad track.
When you're going into Sector 4, you come on a straight, you make a hard right, and then it's a real quick and a hard left. And that is usually in that window there where he...
Is that where he does it?
Yeah, that's where... I think he does the lead out, and then I think he got past that pothole. Yep. And then he took off, and then that was where he kind of would wait for the traffic to clear out, and then he would come back around. I think that's what he does.
Yeah. We got back, and I definitely wasn't going for a second lap. We should have brought a canopy because the sun was hot. I chilled out, drank a vanilla Dr. Pepper, and then we kind of just showered and chilled and ate.
I should have put the canopy on the truck is what I should have done. That would have.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was only a few hours of that, and the shower was actually nice. Yeah. We were contemplating on, are we going to get hot and sweaty? Do we shower twice? And it's just like,
screw it.
No, the shower felt great, and then
except it was like basically a little razor blade shooting.
Oh my god,
shooting out of the
pressure was so hard.
High,
and
so high.
But yeah, that was my adventure ride. It was, my heart rate came down, but like my sit bones were sore. I obviously didn't ride my bike, but it didn't take away from the weekend. I loved it.
Yeah.
I just didn't race it.
Yeah,
and I don't ever really race.
Well, my day. we went out, you're right, we went out hot, but that course was so fast. Like you said earlier, it was really hard not to. Otherwise, you're going to be the person that causes issues and problems. So it was easier to kind of keep the pace up a little bit and let traffic flow by, or to flow by traffic. It was easier to kind of try to keep the pace up a little bit.
Yeah.
But that course was so fast this year. Mm-hmm. It was so very fast, without the potholes, without any of the major obstacles. And even the OHV road didn't do it. So I kind of did. We were together, and then I pulled off, and I heard you a couple of times, yeeting and talking to people, and I dinged my bell. And when I started dinging my bell and you weren't dinging back, I was like, okay, he's out of auditory range.
I'm also losing my hearing a little bit, I think.
So I backed up a little. No, you'd heard that. If you were close enough, you'd have heard the bell. So I backed up a little bit, and we got together, and it was that point that you said, hey,
I felt guilty because you
don't feel guilty.
You dropped back a lot.
Well, it was fine, but my legs felt good. And one of the things that I think really worked well for me, and the jury is still out on the American Classics. I do want to actually find somebody who would say, hey, would you like to put our quality, high-end, more expensive tire, Schwalbe, up against, that American Classic, so we can really show you why this more expensive tire excels and that one is actually not that great. So the jury's still out on that. But one thing I did love, the 50s. I felt very good and very solid and very grounded all day long. When we got back to the end, everybody was talking about the marbles and how this and that, and I never really felt it. I dropped the pressure on those 50s down to, I think I was just below 35. It's probably in the 33, 34 range. And I just felt connected to the ground. And it's the first time I could really say that, having that softer, larger tire, I feel like I was faster with it, because I was connected and it was moving. My legs felt great. The bike felt great. My butt felt great. I felt better on an event than I have in a very long time. And then we hooked up and you said go. So I said, I'm going to go. So I took off and I probably burned a few too many matches trying to recover some ground. Did pick up I probably passed about 20, 24 people on the 100 that had gotten ahead of me. By the time that I got to the aid station, I gave some back after. There were groups. If you weren't a part of a 6 or 8 person group, you were in trouble. And I think we all know that when we're in a situation like that, I ride alone, you ride alone, Larry rides alone. We don't really team up with people. We're all at different paces.
Oh yeah, the three of us would.
Yeah, it's not going to work. I've tried to do that with Larry before, and he kills me. But I think over time, so I felt really good. And I actually set some PRs on that run out to the aid station. Hit the OHV. Actually enjoyed the OHV. It was kind of fun. I'd passed about, like I said, maybe 20 people, 18, 20 people, gave some back here and there. And then when I got to that gravel at the end, I think that OHV took a little more toll on me than I thought it did. And I'll share something that I've shared with people personally. I don't know that I've ever talked about it here, but I have mentioned that I have hand issues. I am in the very early stages of Dupuytren's contracture on my left hand, which is a scenario where
what's the Latin term for that?
Fucked up hand.
Oh, you said that on there?
It's okay. It's fine. It's where the ligaments in your hand begin to contract, and it eventually causes all sorts of issues in the palm of your hand. And I'm in the very early stages of that. I got to the end of the OHV, got up on that soft gravel, and this is what it is. It just comes out of nowhere.
You get kung fu grip.
It did. It just, my hand just locks up, and it's all about like, it's great because it locks up in a position that is perfect for the hood.
For drop bars, yeah.
Yeah, so it actually, but you end up kind of jamming the hand down in and putting a tremendous amount of weight, which I understand is only going to make that worse. So I had that. It kind of eased up a little bit, then got back to the cornfield, and then through the single track that's after the cornfield, and I just lost it all right there. I mean, I was literally, I came out of the cornfield for the last like 10 miles after you come out of the single track session, and I was doing like 9 or 10 miles an hour. People were just passing like, screw it. I'm not going back out. I can't go back out. This is an issue. And it's not so much that the issue affects me in an individual event. Like, I didn't go back out for the second lap because of it. And I could care less about going out for the second lap at Croatan Buck 50. That's not what it's about. But what began to bother me more was that this is a long-term thing, that it's going to impact me and it's only going to begin to get worse. So we've got all sorts of things on the table to kind of address that. And we can talk about that later. But for today, for Croatan Buck 50, it did kind of end my day. And it kind of put me in a bad headspace coming out of the the cornfield, because it started to felt better. I actually passed a few more people after it did that. I passed a few more people in that section between the end of the OHV and the beginnings of the cornfield. When you get down onto that to the hard top before you go into cornfield, I actually did pick up a few more spots, and then I got in the cornfield, and it just blew me up, and it got in my head, and it was like, okay, day's over, just relax. And I did what you kind of did, although I didn't stop and take pictures, which is what I should have done if I'd have stopped more and just actually.
It's a pretty forest. I think people go too fast and miss it.
Yeah, because you're just flying.
Yeah,
you're just flying because the course.
Because you got to stay
so
focused.
Fast. Yeah,
and I wonder how many people in the top 50% didn't even notice the smoke and stuff.
Yeah,
because you have to focus if you're racing it.
And now, Joey, when you talk about the smoke, they had previously had a controlled, prescribed burn in the forest, so that controls the undergrowth, so it prevents the larger wildfires like they had to deal with a few years ago that caused all sorts of grief and all sorts of problems. So
it was cool.
But the whole of the course, even if you consider OHV, the single track was fast. The cornfield was in pristine shape.
There was no reason. I think the average person even had to get off for any of the cornfield. The sand had lines. The single track was great.
The sand, that one corner where the sand, it had an inside line and an outside line. It was because you go out on the outside line, you come back on the inside line.
There was one, before you go back into single track, in the middle, there was one kind of big muddy pothole. And on the way back, when there was traffic going back before, there was group of, and that's where Casey caught up to me. He made up an hour and some time because a lot of people did. A group of us had to wait there because there was kind of more racy folks coming out. So we had a little gaggle of folks waiting a few minutes and let this huge group of, but that was the only time you had to get off or let people pass.
It was even the ditch. The ditch
was rideable.
The ditch was very rideable. If you're not familiar, there's one section on the course. There's a little bit of single track. You're back on a little gravel road. Then you pop into these edges of these cornfields. Then there's a little more single track, and you pop out, and you're actually in the middle of a cornfield. You ride all the way through the cornfield, and at the very end, there's a ditch, and there's an elevation change at the ditch. And in years past, when the ditch has been full of water from recent rains, it's much bigger, it's much larger, it's wider, and you can't really see what that elevation change because of the water levels. You can't tell. This year, with it being dry and there less of an elevation change, it was little more than a bump.
Yeah,
it was very, very rideable going out and coming back, just in really great shapes. The course was so fast, and I'm wondering if that didn't contribute. If I know some people had some issues, I don't know if that contributed to that, where the course was so fast that they were a little more further ahead of themselves than they may have thought they should have been, or a little bit overbiked. I don't know, but it was a very, very, very fast course, and I enjoyed that. And you're right, nobody finished in the dark. That I know of.
No, because I assume closing up timing and Matt and everything, everyone's back and accounted for. It was a quick day for the Buck 50s.
So now the race is over. We're back
chilling.
We're back chilling, and you made these amazing brats.
Oh, that was just
on the iron skillet,
easy,
with onions and green peppers and
some potato rolls.
Yeah,
unless you're Larry could not eat.
And we didn't talk about breakfast, but Ted brought some Taylor ham, aka pork roll, and skilleted that stuff up, and we had very, very nice egg and cheese and pork roll sandwiches
and onions
on
croissants too.
Yeah, on croissants. It was delicious. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Ted.
Might have been the reason my heart rate was so high. Just seeing Ted.
What? Not all the salt that was in the pork roll?
No. I'm just kidding. I'm a champion of eating a sausage biscuit from McDonald's before a mountain bike ride. No, the food, I just wanted something easy. Last year we did the low country boil, but it's just throwing sausages out in that skillet. The thing was full, and peppers and onions. It's just easy.
Oh yeah,
you don't need a lot of. If you throw it on a plate, you don't even need buns or plates if you don't want some chips. And we had some snacks around the fire, and we had a fire for hours and hours.
That was fun, and it was I almost got forgot the solo stove until the day before. It was we need to bring a stove. And then Larry
bought a stove for his stove.
He brought, Chuck Norris needed a stove for his stove.
We didn't even talk about Larry's cousin.
That's maybe a story for another
That's
day.
Another story.
That's
but
another story for another day.
No, we just hung out, and then
we did, and if you've never been around a campfire with LFP, we did the math to determine exactly how many handfuls of wood pellets he throws into a solo stove.
These are fire pellets, not smoker Traeger pellets.
Yeah, not
clarify that.
This would be different. This is the pellets that you would put into a fireplace that burns pellets. And Larry will always bring a bag of pellets, and he will sit there and he will just throw, and it makes a huge difference. It really does fire that stove up.
I need to.
It fires that stove
need
up.
To buy some.
I've got a bag ever since he got me on the hook.
And they're probably like $5 too, aren't they?
But we did, they're very inexpensive.
Yeah,
and we did the math that I believe Larry has thrown. He estimated about 40 bags of pellets since he's been doing it, and then we had Gemini create the volume of a 40-pound bag in handfuls, was like 250 per bag.
Yeah,
and it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 80,000 handfuls of pellets that Larry has thrown into a fire.
He's got it down to a science, because I started chucking them in, and he's like, "Yeah, you throw it too many, you'll smother it." And I smothered it for a little bit.
Yeah,
it didn't take long to come back, but
and then you wake up in the morning, and there's literally the entire, whether it's an open campfire or a solo stove, the ground around it is covered in pellets that
quick rain
turn into mush.
They just go away.
Yeah, they just dissolve and go away. But that is so much fun.
That's why it's such a good weekend.
Yeah,
we didn't get rowdy. We went to bed like at 10 o'clock and kind of organically woke up. I won't say the backstory here. I heard the other guys across the way, the younger dudes, kind of got up like a 4:45. I'm like, man, they're getting out early. And then I heard Ted leave, and then that was the earliest. But we had packed up down.
We had started kind of.
But we were kind of organized. Like I didn't need. Once I cooked,
I'm telling you,
it was a big help.
It's the truck with everything being easy to get into. You never took all the stuff out. You just, everything kind of stayed organized. And then at the end, instead of like when you break down the Gazelle tent, I put the tent back in the bag, but the wet thing just got thrown in the bag.
Yeah, you're not worried about
the truck
that either, because you set it up in your barn. You said your big garage.
Yeah, and it's still set up actually.
Yeah,
it's still set up.
It's like
drying out.
That was the least amount of clothes I ever traveled. My Patagonia bag was basically full of sleeping bag and pillow. I brought my riding clothes.
How many pairs of underwear did you bring?
One pair of underwear, a pair of socks, and an extra pair of pants.
That's it.
That's all I brought. Another t-shirt. But so I packed so light.
I threw my puffy in, and I had a sweatshirt.
Oh, if we didn't camp, I'd be like,
what do you even need? Yeah, what do you even need, really?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. The older that you get, the fewer things you actually realize you really need.
Oh, yeah.
There's just nothing you need.
And I'm also not afraid to wear clothes twice.
So, all in all, fantastic.
And a Waffle House.
Yeah, because we can talk about that. We're supposed to go to the Angie's Lighthouse, which is where we always
tradition.
Go. Yep. And
we left so early.
We left so early that they hadn't even opened yet.
Yep.
And so we just boogied on up the road to Waffle House, which was
easy.
Gotta love yourself a Waffle House.
Decent, clean bathroom. Waffle House always has nice bathrooms.
They deliver.
It's like, it's weird. They had an egg on the floor. But,
that was funny. I was watching that the whole time.
However, I think people give Waffle House a bad rap, but I also think people tote it. Everything's consistent.
Well,
and it's clean.
No, Waffle House at 8 o'clock in the morning versus Waffle House at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You see everything, and they have protocols.
Yeah.
It's hibachi.
Yeah.
It's redneck hibachi, and the cooks take pride in it. Everything is clean because everything's visible.
It's very consistent.
The service is quick.
You can go into a Waffle House in anywhere and get the consistency is so.
And no one does hash browns.
No,
I doubled. Did you see? I
envied you with the double order of hash browns.
Should 4.
Larry and I both did the bowls, which I really enjoy the bowls. If I'm in the mood for a waffle, then I go all American. If I am like, I don't really care for the waffle today, I go the bowl because there's a lot more hash browns in there and everything's all mixed together. It's just, yummy.
Yeah.
Now we're Waffle House again.
I get a waffle and 2 orders of hash browns, and it's like the perfect breakfast.
Yeah.
And it's like $10.
Yeah.
With my coffee.
You can't beat it. Yeah. Was the coffee good? I'm not a coffee drinker. Was the coffee good?
I think it's what you expect. Like, it's
diner coffee.
It's diner coffee. It's good. Yeah. It's nothing like Alabaster last week.
Everybody, though, was talking about your coffee at camp and how good it was because you had Alabaster, right?
Well, that's just me, Ted, Larry. I don't know. Maybe Mike and Ian. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I just brought my Alabaster French and I used my French press.
But everybody who was drinking the coffee that you made was talking. They were like, wow, this is really good coffee.
Yeah.
And it was the Alabaster French press.
It was the spring bat. I forgot the name. The spring roast.
Yeah.
I just got. So I pre-ground it, brought it down, overground it. So there's a little bit of soot in the bottom. I guess Ted drank the soot too.
He drank the mud.
Yeah, he drank the mud. But no, it was like camp coffee always tastes better.
Oh, and we have to congratulate Ted. He finished third.
Three-peat.
In the
we need 50, to do another year for the three-peat.
The 3-3. He finished third in the single speed. I think in the video you're going to say he finished third out of 2. So
and he finished first best dressed. You got a lot of kit compliments.
His kit actually matched his bike. Well, I know he does that kind of stuff, and he does that kind of stuff. Yep. But man, he's a bright, colorful man wearing cat ears, and just the fireball on the side of the helmet with the cat ears, and then the brightly colored kit and the brightly
it's pastels too, so it's like Easter.
Yeah. Good job, Ted.
Yeah.
Representing well for Philly Ike Bexo and Dirty Kitten, both of them with the ears and the kit. He got all of his sponsors.
And I think Larry was an hour ahead of his time last year too.
Yeah, it's good.
So congrats to Larry. Yeah.
Course was fast, so fast. Yep. We're going to talk about my hand a little bit in a future episode because we've got all sorts of.
Well, that'll be handy when we're low on content.
There's a lot of things to try with this, and I talked to Chris Richardson at length yesterday, and we're talking about removing some weight off the front end of the bike. We're talking about the different types of suspension and what they may do, be able to help with. He's worked with people with the Pytrons before, and. We get lots of ideas, lots of thoughts. But the one thing that I have realized and has made me feel a little bit better is it is a marathon, not a sprint. There's not one thing that you can do to a bike that's going to fix this. And it's not going to fix it. It is going to make it tolerable. It is going to make it.
Just take your hand off.
I was wondering if we could combine ourselves. Because I have the butt, the back is fine.
You got everything else.
Lop your arm off and give it to me, and then I would give you my back.
I got a bad shoulder.
We could take
that doesn't help my neck.
We could take it up at the shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the broken collarbone up there that's healed. Anyway, we'll talk about that longer.
Doing great for 35.
So this or that, the 279 last episode, this or that poll results, and the one I put out was a solo perfect route or a meh kind of route with friends. What do you think? Are you looking at show notes?
I am now.
Okay. What would you think? Where would you think it would land?
I still think a majority with friends, but there's a handful of listeners. Yeah, that solo perfect route. I don't blame them.
Yeah. And it was pretty much exactly that. It was 2 to 1%, 38 votes ride with friends with the meh route with friends, and then 33% were the solo perfect route with 19 votes. And I also get that. I mean, sometimes you do need that. And
I had a solo the other day.
And it wasn't perfect.
It was like almost type 2 fun, and that was my own fault. So yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like right where I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Right where I thought it would be. So this week's this or that. Joey, would you rather smell like a dog or smell like a dog?
You say that because I think Blake hasn't had a bath in a while, and I've been laying in his big we got a human dog bed. I probably smell like dogs.
So you probably
sometimes.
do smell like a dog.
Yeah, which I don't mind. I'm a dog owner. I would no. I actually would rather smell like a dog
because their smell is like superpower. It's like a superpower.
Yeah.
You would basically be a superhero if you could smell.
I'm just gonna rub Fritos all over myself because being around you and other folks, I don't want to smell I don't want that superhuman, super dog smelling capabilities.
Could you imagine how horrible that would actually be?
That'd suck.
To be able to smell everything from everywhere. You poor dogs.
I love watching him smell on our walks.
Yeah.
He the slightest thing, he picks up a scent, he's boom, gone, and just he's nose deep.
But smelling like a dog.
I don't mind that.
Really?
I am very hygienic. I shower and clean myself every day.
But I think if you're smelling like a dog, it wouldn't matter because this is the question. You would take a shower with your ivory soap, and then immediately when you get out, you dog smell.
That's fine.
You smell like a dog. Okay.
I don't care. Okay. It'd probably keep people from talking to me, and I'm pretty antisocial.
Jess actually really loves Blake. She really loves Max. So she actually could be more attracted to you if you smell. Maybe you do smell like a dog. Maybe we all smell like dogs. I don't know.
Yeah, my car smells like a dog.
I think it would be horrific to have the ability to smell everything. So I would much rather. I think
it'd be cool to try it out, but it'd be like, dang.
Just for a day. Just for a day. Okay, Croatan fast or Croatan bumpy?
What is fast and what is bumpy?
Fast was this year.
Fast and bumpy.
No, this was fast was this year. And pothole. I guess I should have said potholed because fast versus a course condition that slows the race down.
And I remember that stretch between Sector 4 and the cornfield a couple of years ago where it was very potholy. I almost felt more comfortable dodging the potholes at times, but I also felt more comfortable not having the pot. I would almost land in the middle.
Well, it's mentally exhausting.
Both are.
Yeah.
Your mind can't wander.
But you could control. So you have no control over bumpy and potholes. Yes. You have control over fast. Just because the course is fast doesn't mean you have to ride fast. So you have control over that. So I'm going to go that direction.
Yeah, I'd probably say fast. A different tire selection would have. And I ran 42 Terravale Washburns. I shouldn't have taken my 47s off. They're on my other wheel set, but that would have helped a little bit. And it wasn't bad. So yeah, I guess fast. Because the potholes, if someone pushes you on accident, like, and you hit one of those hard.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in the position where somebody's in the ability you're racing people to push you.
I just mean like close passes and whatnot.
Yeah. You have no control over that too, the two-way traffic. You don't have any control over that. Would you rather have fancy watch or fancy bike?
Well, you threw this one in for me.
I did. This is for folks that don't know, Joey's a watch guy.
I just started becoming public about it about a year ago, and recently on the podcast. I've always had I love watches, and I've had a thing for them since my parents bought me one in like middle school. But I don't have a sense to one either. And I told you on the drive down, there's like two types of watch people, and I like tool watches.
Utilitarian, useful.
Yeah. Like there's a nice tool watch, like there's a handful I would like, but I just don't get the flashy. Same with bikes. I love my rusty rodeo, and it has fresh rust on it. I would probably take a nicer watch. Because the watch I wear every day, and I love not having there's just something about wearing an analog watch.
Well, I don't wear a watch a lot.
Yeah.
I wear it like so with this weekend. I wear it when I go travel or an event, and the Instinct works really well for me.
Oh yeah, and I love that watch.
I don't really need a better watch. I don't.
Instinct is what 99% of, as far as Garmin's go. It does so much.
But I have been looking at the Coros.
They got some nice watches.
They got some nice watches, and they're very affordable.
Yep.
I actually think I've got any HSA money left at the end of the year. I might actually venture into HSA land with a Coros watch, just simply because it's money that would just get thrown away.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that would be. But I think I think the bike would serve me better.
Probably.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against nice or bad bikes, and
when I say fancy bike, I don't know that it means like fancy, like hang on the wall bike. I just mean it means like, something that people look at and go, that's a nice bike. That's
but there's, I don't know, and I still, like, I wore my Garmin the other day. I just don't wear my Garmin much anymore.
Yeah.
But for me, even in my house, going out, I need a watch, a belt, my pocket knife, my wallet, and my AirPods.
Would you like for me to wear your Garmin watch and then I can return it to you with all the rides I do on it?
No.
And then you would
I just tape it to my car.
Okay.
The funny, real quick, it was in the news last week. Someone Strava on the French aircraft carrier. I think everyone's seen it. It was like, oh man, that's kind of funny, but also
Strava's a national security concern.
Yeah, I know. Who would have thought that? And I heard, and I listened.
It gave away some base locations too, not too long ago.
Yeah, I would say people on the channels were saying that these people at these black sites were just doing their PT and running around the fitness, and in the watch world, like especially with the government, it's like a big no-no to wear a smartwatch.
Oh yeah.
Can hack, like people can hack into those pretty easily, which is why your big officials always wear like the fancy watches too. But it's also like a status thing. But yeah, these smartwatches in Strava lately are like, why is this little like strip of desert where they're like this is these circles, and there's actually like infrastructure and like everything going on there, and it's just because Billy wanted to go on a run and track it.
It's so easy to just set your privacy,
but you probably don't think about it.
You don't think about it, or you want people to see that you're out.
Because that article came out, this guy's like, I'm finding these hot spots all over in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah.
Okay, last one, and we've talked a little bit about this: beach cruiser or cargo bike.
What's a cargo bike?
Cargo bike's like one of those ones you can like racks on the front and racks on the back, and you could put a little kid back there if you needed.
A e-cargo bike?
Yeah, no,
I might pick that.
No,
because I have in my cart, and I might pull the trigger on two of these state clunkers for living down here at Solomon's. And
we talked about you're in the perfect spot.
Oh yeah,
for that beach cruiser mindset.
8-9 mile loop from the house to go from here down a very Solomon's for the most part is pretty decent to ride around. We have bike lanes, there's a couple intersections other than that. Yeah, so I'm like, if you haven't seen the state clunkers, they're like above what you would get at a department store. They're pretty robust, and they're like the regular one in all black is like $420
Is it really? Are you serious?
Yeah, but right now there's the NFL series, which I think are like $500 or $600, and they're like $250 right now on sale. The only difference is they're like they have a paint theme of like the Packers, the Giants, and it's subtle. So like we care about the paint.
Yeah,
so it's a good deal, and then we could get two and just ride them down to the grocery store, to Rita's or the Island.
Over to
Island Hideaway. Yeah, it's just like the perfect bike for where we live.
Yeah, if I lived in a place where I had that nice flat land and there was destination on the other end, and it was only 3 or 4 miles, I'd have one without a doubt. But where I live, it's like, where would I go? I know where to.
It's fun, and Wild has like a $1,200 frame. Or like the frame alone is like $800 or $1,200 for a cruiser, and it's very niche and built really nice. But the state ones are like, I don't like the state components, and I've had some issues with the frames years ago. But they've come a long way. They have that affordable tie frame, and these clunkers are pretty cool.
Well, if you haven't watched the Clunker series that State Bicycle puts out on YouTube, I think we've talked a little bit about it.
Props to those guys, just like the rodeo crew riding beach cruisers.
Yeah, they're riding these clunkers and doing like
70-mile days.
Yeah, doing these big mileage days and then bike packing, and which is a fun gitch. And then the one guy ran it into the ditch and bent the fork.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. I was like, a beach cruiser that was quality made with, and we're not talking about derailleurs and shifters in this group set versus that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about solid components that aren't going to last 300 miles like a department store cruiser and then fall apart.
Yeah. And it's coaster brake. There's no cables.
Nothing. No cables, nothing.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd remember how to use a coaster brake. I know
that's my thing with Jess. I'm like, you just want, it'll take a few.
Did she ever ride a coaster brake bike as a kid?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not.
It would come back, I think, really quick.
Yeah.
I think it would come back really, really quick. But it would be fun to get one to take to events to have like a round, like I'm thinking about Gravel Fest.
Oh, yeah.
You've got your bike that you're going to take and ride out into the forest, and then you got your camp bike.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're getting really like, okay, carrying like 8 bikes to.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Like,
the funny thing that is not funny, I find interesting in a lot of these bike packing videos, like Mahalo, my dude, did one, the Clunker series.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guys that are actually doing the video work, because the quality is there, like they take so much camera gear.
Yeah.
It's like
one dude with like wow.
Yeah.
And I carried a little Nano, which I'm not really sure I knew how to use that camera. I took a new camera with us to Croatan. I was going to do a Buck 50 kind of fun camp like / ride video. I'm not sure that's going to happen because looking back, I think I needed to do a firmware update on the camera before I used it because it's a little, I didn't know what I was doing with it. So, but it is what it is. We may put out something a little janky. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still looking through footage and determining, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I'll at very least, we had a real nice wrap up around the campfire that we all kind of like chatted through some stuff.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. So at the very least, that came.
And there was like 7 people in Ted's field.
Yeah, there was.
But to do that single speed after multiple years of doing it, and Ted might have said it best on the video, like you can't ride with anyone. You're either a little bit slower, a little bit faster, and you got to do your own thing. So it's tough. Like, regardless, you still have to put the effort in, whether there's 2 or 7 people. Like if you did it, and a 3-hour time is a pretty good window for that.
Congrats, Ted. Good job, buddy. Good job.
And thanks for the pork roll.
Yeah, that pork
and maybe the mild heart attack. I don't know. With all that salt and my heart rate being so high.
He did a good job with the pork roll too. It was crispy.
Oh, yeah.
It was perfectly sliced with regard to thickness. Mm-hmm. So it was get crispy but still warm on the inside. That's a very it's not an easy
bougie
thing to reach, that perfect state of pork rolllessness. Okay, ready to shut it down?
Let's shut it down.
Shut it down. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. Joey, how can folks get in touch with us if they're looking to do so?
Hit us up at Mid-Atlantic GTD on the gram. I still don't have access from that. The higher-ups are never going to, which is fine. HR department got rid of me. And our website is at graveltraveldirt.com. And that's it. And
we do have some stuff in the works.
Stay tuned.
We're not going to talk about it yet.
Yeah, we don't want to tease anything. We're going to set it up and do it right.
We could tease it a little bit. I don't want to say what it is.
It might be a platform, which I think will be great for the community.
It might be a community-generated platform for folks that listen to this podcast to be able to connect with each other.
Only gravel.
Did you see the OnlyFans guy died?
No.
The guy who owns OnlyFans died.
Oh.
It's like 43 years old. Cancer.
Dang.
That sucks. No, it's going to be a platform. We're still working on how we're going to make this work.
Yep.
But a platform for all of our listeners to be able to connect with one another, to be able to just create community, because I think that is what gravel is.
Yeah.
And I think that we've lacked doing that, whether it's online or in real life.
Yeah.
I think this can bridge the gap.
Oh, it'll bridge it dramatically.
It's going to be a place where people can gather online, and it will facilitate real life connections and community.
Yeah.
And that's really what
and
we
I think
want to
it'll amp up the energy, have a better community feel when you get to events or anything with other people. It'll allow more for this atmosphere in a good way.
Working behind the scenes on that. But
yes,
one of the things we do is we don't vet stuff too much. It'll just happen, and then you'll all be welcome to come and be a part of it. So that's kind of what we're at. So once again, Atlanta Gravel Travel in Dirt is recorded this week from right here in Blake's kitchen. Thanks for riding along. Till next time, do good, be nice, go slow, respect others.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Dang, an hour and 5 minutes.